Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. My name is Jim Landers, and it is my mission to uplift portrait photographers to make a great income doing what they love. Each week on the Portrait Profit Show, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, reducing the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. The show is for photographers who feel they've got something to learn on the business side. So if that's you, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. For Digital Pro Lab, Amanda and her wonderful, amazing team are going to make you look like a hero because they care. The people that they employ there are career people. They actually enjoy what it is that they do, and they're not going to be gone in a couple of months. They are career people, and they make you look amazing to your clients. If you've not printed yet with Digital Pro Lab, you need to go to digitalprolab.com right now, digitalprolab.com, and see the amazing difference that Amanda and her team are going to do for you. And this is brought to you by Landers Photography School, my company. I teach the photography side as well as the business side. I do teach more on the business side nowadays than I used to, but I've got over 200 different class titles that I've written over the years. Started teaching in 1997 and have I have worked with over 4,000 photographers to help them get their businesses going. So reach out to me, jim@landersphotoschool.com, so I can help you make a great income doing what you love. I want to ask you guys to right now do me a favor, go over to the comments section and enter in hashtag live. That tells me that you're watching that you're watching us live right now on one of the places that we're simulcast to. We're simulcast to a couple of Facebook groups, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. So for those of you who are watching live, enter in hashtag live. If you're watching this as a replay, please enter in hashtag replay. And as we go throughout the show, I want you to interact with it. So ask questions, make comments. If you've got a story that you can share, go to the comments and share those stories as we go. And of course, hit that like button, hit that love button every single time you hear something that one of the panelists says that you can resonate with. I also request that you hit the share button. Let other people know about the Portrait Profit Show, because when we uplift each other, we all become better. So click the share button for me right now before we go any further. And make sure you enter in hashtag live. All right. I am going to bring on the panelist here in just a moment. But I want to welcome you to our discussion panel today on couples in business. I want you to get ready for a candid peek into the world of couples rocking both romance and revenue. Two dynamic duos will reveal all triumphs and facepalm moments, keeping the spark while building an empire, navigating disagreements, and so much more. As always, for our monthly portrait panel discussions, we have a wonderful group of panelists who have valuable insights to share. But this time, we don't have individual panelists. We have two couples. And each of our panelists has different perspectives. And they're here because they believe in uplifting the photographer community. So get ready to be inspired and help me welcome the panelists by going to the comments and typing in a thank you message for our generous panelists. Now, let's introduce our panelists, and I'm going to bring them on. I'm bringing on Elizabeth and Trey Homan. And, oh, it didn't pop up. That's because, did not expect that. Welcome, Elizabeth and Trey. Thank you for that wonderful welcome. And welcome for Jason and Alejandra Bryant. Glad you guys are here.
Hello.
Nice to be here.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Love it. you weren't even going to try and top Elizabeth and Trey.
Oh no, there's no
way.
competing.
Yeah.
There's no competing.
I know when to hold and when to fold.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you guys each an opportunity to introduce yourselves here in just a moment. But before I do that, I just want to thank you guys for investing your time. I know you've got other things you could be doing and other things maybe you should be doing, but you're here because you want to uplift the photographer community. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
For sure.
All right. Let's start with Jason and Alejandra. So I'm going to take Elizabeth and Trey off so they can get back to whatever business they were conducting. Did you notice how quickly I clicked off of that after?
Past reflexes.
Man. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. I forgot to warn you how close you're going to have to be in order to show up on the screen when it's a split screen like this.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Cozy.
Well, could you do me a favor and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, your family, your business? Just tell us about who you are so that we can get to know you better.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're Meet the Bryants Photography. We specialize in B2B business. So any content that's needed, we create high level content that has a return on investment for businesses. And that's where we get to be nerds and be intentional with the photography. So that's where we found our niche there. Outside of photography, we've been together for 10 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, we just really enjoy what we do and who we do it for. And so, I mean, people always ask us how is it that you work with your husband, or how is it that you work with your wife? And we really just have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, but definitely not easy. It does take work, but it has been a lot of fun and it brings us a lot of joy.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for the clients. I feel like we have the best clients, I would say.
Oh, facts. I get to work with my best friends. So yeah, it's definitely a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love hearing that. You know what? The best photographers do feel that way about their clients. They just it's an emotional connection that you've built, and you know that it's all about the relationship. So
Yeah.
There's a level of
fantastic.
vulnerability, right? And so we don't take it for granted when people come to us, and we try to do our best to present them in the best light possible.
There's a lot of talented photographers in here in San Antonio. So the fact that our clients are choosing us, we don't take that lightly. So it's an experience that we want to make sure photography is a luxury. Want to make sure that they get a return on their investment for sure.
That makes sense. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for that that intro. I appreciate it. I'm going to bring on Elizabeth and Trey, and they're going to share what they're all about. So I'll come back to you guys in just a moment. So Elizabeth and Trey.
Don't be scared. We're normal.
I get to see what's going on before I click on them, you guys. And so this time I knew that they weren't pulling anything, so I guess I need to pay more attention because I didn't look at them before I clicked on them last time. I did not. That took me by surprise.
You're welcome.
It took her by surprise too.
Yes,
So
very bad.
I love it. Well, could you guys tell us a little bit about who you are, family, business, just so that we can get to know you a little better?
Sure. We have been married for 25, almost 26 years, and we have been in business for 32 years. We own a portrait studio with 2.5 acres of grounds on the north side of San Antonio, and we specialize in family portraits and wall art, wall decor, painted pieces, and all sorts of printed artwork for the home, as well as albums. And I have to say, I think we have the best clients. So I'm sorry, but I think that's us. We have the best clients. And yeah, we absolutely love what we do every day. And we have our family. We have 3 boys. They are 24 down to 19. Two of them are in college, and one of them is hanging out at our house. And yeah, so we're almost empty nesters and starting a new chapter. Anything you want to say, Trey?
No, dear.
That's funny. Well, that is definitely a new chapter when the kids go away to college and when they start just moving away, completely and becoming independent. Yeah, that is a totally different thing. Something that, of course, Robin and I have not too long ago recently experienced. Our boys are almost 29 and 27. So it wasn't that long ago that they were living here.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for introducing yourselves, and so glad that you're here on the show this evening.
Happy to
Got
be
the
here.
first question for you guys. I want you to tell me, and I'm going to bring the question up on the screen so everybody can see it. Let me bring that up real quick. Let's see. What's the most unexpected way that your relationship has grown or changed since starting your business together?
Well, I mean, we get the same questions that Brian get when people are like, I don't know how you work with your husband every day and then you go home every day. But I feel like it's made us a stronger couple. We basically are never apart. Maybe he doesn't want to be together with me 24/7, but I feel like it's just made us better that we don't have to go home and tell each other what each other did. Although, to be fair, his office is on the second floor of our studio and mine's on the first floor. So it is often that we still do have to fill each other in with what happened during the day. But I don't know. What do you think, Trey? Do you have anything besides that?
Well, she had the business before I met her, and so I came in and the business was there. I just had to kind of figure out where I could fit in. I was a school teacher. I taught music, and so we had our son, and he had special needs, and we kind of figured out that me teaching school was not going to fit in the equation. And so we really just had to figure out how to make it to where I could work with Elizabeth and help maintain our family. And so our family kind of grew up around the business versus the business growing up around the families. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. I can imagine that it is. And of course, we've talked about it on occasion. And of course, I can keep up with you guys all the time on Facebook because you do post a good amount about both business and family, which I think is wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing about how you got started and what direction you feel that you're heading. So I'm going to bring on Jason and Alejandra and ask them that same question. So I'll bring you back in just a moment. All right, Jason and Alejandra, can you tell me what's the most unexpected way your relationship has grown or changed since you started your business together?
I would say boundaries, like establishing boundaries. Like sometimes Alejandra's like, hey, I'm not talking to the photographer. I need to talk to my husband, or different things like that, and make sure like, hey, when it's 5 o'clock and we're going to go pick up the kids, what have you, we already know that, hey, it's no longer business talk, and having boundaries for me helps out quite a bit, and just refining the communication that we have. So because we work together personally and professionally, our communication has to be on point. And that was actually a hidden blessing out of that. Is that there's no room for miscommunication, just because it just makes things smoother when there is stronger communication. And selfishly, when we talk to our older clients who have been married for X amount of years, let's say 35 or more, that's what we hear quite often is one of the keys to their success is communication. And so I feel like this has really just thrusted us into having better communication, which I'm excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. It was a learning curve for us because we did have to establish early on in the business. Jason also had the photography business before we met, and so transitioning it to Meet the Bryants when we made that decision, definitely the communication needed to be there because he had his way of doing things before I had came on, and so I think it definitely showed that we were forced to communicate because we literally were each other's coworkers. Like this is it. And so, which other people don't have that luxury. So it is a blessing to have another person to bounce off ideas and different things. But, you know, you do have robust conversations. And for me, I believe robust conversations surface reality. And so we needed to get to that point quickly. And so that was definitely, boundaries is really, really key for that. And being able to separate that and not bring it into either one of our, you know, personal to professional or vice versa.
Yeah, I like that. And that's definitely a good one, and one that, man, if the communication isn't ideal, everything goes bad. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter how much each individual cares. If the communication isn't there, things are going to go, there's going to be problems. And both of you have to, you know where you're heading so that communication has a direction to go, or a realization of where we're heading. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. All right. So I'm going to give you guys the next question. I'm going to start with you guys on this next question.
Okay.
And that's, if you could go back in time, go back to day one of your business, once you were starting working on it together, what would you have done differently knowing what you know today?
I think my answer would be differently from Alejandra, but it would, I would say I would charge my worth, charge me. I had the mindset I wanted to be able to, you know, document everybody, and I didn't want to miss anybody. From that standpoint, that was just where my heart was. But then sometimes that came with me compromising or comparing myself with other talented people, and so realizing that I can actually charge my worth and run our lane. If you hear other voices, those are our kids right now. Talking while I'm talking, so heads up. But being able to charge my worth has been our worth is because in that way we
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
in doing so, that's allowed us to find our ideal client at the same time. So it's been a beautiful journey from that standpoint.
We're hungry.
Does that mean you agree with that, Alejandro, or does that mean your attention is slightly diverted?
So sorry. Yes, we have the babies interrupting. No, I would definitely agree with Jason as far as having, obviously we have a business to run. And so I think for Jason, he has a really big heart, where I would say, sorry, this is Jason. This is little Jason. And this is Giselle. So now you have the whole gang.
The whole group. Here we are.
But I would definitely say that knowing our worth is really important, because as much as we want to give back to our clients, it's a disservice we're doing to them as well, because then there's a capacity, right? We only have so many hours, we only have so many opportunities. And so I think whenever we decided to charge whatever it is that we were worth, we knew we would be giving them even more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And it's really cool to see little Jason and Giselle. You guys are so cute. Does everybody tell you that?
Yes,
Everybody tells you guys are cute. I know it.
Oh my
Go back
goodness.
in the names.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to ask that same question now of Elizabeth and Trey. So I'll be back with you guys here in just a moment. So, Elizabeth and Trey, are you going to bring on any of your kids?
No, I hope not.
I was looking for my Halloween mask, but I couldn't find it.
Aren't they cute? These little guys are so cute. All right. So if you could go back to day one, now that's Trey, when you became part of the picture, not necessarily Elizabeth's Trey one, but when you guys joined this business journey together, what would you do different knowing what you know today?
The answer?
You can say your answer. I have a different one.
Save more money. We have a tendency to spend what we make, and we could be retired by now if we had actually saved more than we've done. And so, yeah, that would be my answer.
Well, I guess mine is kind of very similar to yours in the fact that I would have eliminated a bunch of employees prior to the actual time that we did. So at one point we had 11 employees, and that was probably the biggest headache, is having employees. And although some of them were amazing and we loved them, some of them were not amazing. When we decided finally just to not have any employees at all, it really changed us all, and it also allowed us to save money. That's why. So I don't know. It was a little scary because now we both had to take on all the duties that were spread equally through, like 4 people instead of 2. So it was a little scary to take all that on, but we figured it out, and now we're stronger for it, I think.
That is a good point. I mean, it's not like we don't need help, so it makes sense to hire people. But did you find it hard to let someone go if you felt like it wasn't working out?
Oh, I made him do it because, well, I mean, it did hurt because we had employees for a long time. It wasn't like we had somebody for 6 months, they weren't working. We had employees, I mean, some of them were there, one of them was there 15 years, another was there 11 years. And sometimes letting them go wasn't necessarily anything about them, but it was more about us as a business having to look out for the business and what it needed. And the changes of, when we started it in film and moved to digital, and actually when we did that, we eliminated a position. And I used to also work like a dog, and I was much less expensive, so I was doing a whole lot more portrait sessions, and so I needed other people to help me get all of that stuff done. But as we've evolved throughout the years and become more and more of a luxury type of product, we don't have, we spend more time with each client, but we have less clients. So we really didn't need all of that extra help. But I'm pretty sure that my employee now is not listening, but if she is listening, we do have a part-time employee and we do love her. So there's nothing bad about her. We do need help on some things. And so, yeah, we have one part-time girl that helps us now.
Nice. Thank you for sharing all that with us. I appreciate that. Well, the next question, I'm going to start with you. And before I do that, you guys, if this is resonating with you today, will you let me know over in the comments? Just share with us what it is that's catching your attention, or just say it's resonating, or thanks. We appreciate the panelists, but interact with us in the comments. So here's the next question. Can you share a moment when your different perspectives led to a major breakthrough in your business?
You're pointing at me? Why do I always get to go first?
Well, I was going to go for the last one, then you took it.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think we kind of go back to the previous answer, which was knowing that we needed to downsize our employees, knowing we needed to do that, and having a different perspective. Like, he's the money guy, and I'm the face. It's not that great a face, but I am. Okay. So he's back in behind the scenes looking at the financials and saying, look, we need to cut some employees. We need to cut some expenses. And I'm like, but that means that I have to do more work now, you know? And so we had a different perspective, but when we finally came together, actually we went to some outside influences, asked opinions of a mentor that we have, and it was like, you know, it was as clear as day that it needed to happen, and I was the one holding us back. But then we came to an agreement. We made the decision, and I don't think we've been happier with the decision that we made. And I think that was a major turning point. Is not, you know, that before that I was not doing the sales, and that made me start doing the sales, which is not hardcore selling, but it's, you know, I just didn't think I was going to be good at it. I really thought I was going to cry every time someone didn't like something. And so once I did it, I took all of that fear just kind of fell aside, and I realized I was pretty good at it. So sometimes it is like a dagger in the heart, but most of the time I'm pretty tough. Does that have any additional?
Same answer, Trey?
Yes, dear.
Well, sometimes that's the right response. Now, so I have a follow-up question. I've seen your work. Robin and I have come to you guys for a portrait session way early on when we were just beginning our family. So I know firsthand your work is freaking amazing.
Thank you.
There's probably no one who doesn't like anything that you're doing. They probably love everything that you're doing. Yet sometimes you feel that way. Can you share what your thoughts are on that?
This is going to be good. Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you know, people have to make choices when you give them a variety of images to look through, and they're tasked with helping them choose the best images. But it's the best images for them, not necessarily the ones that I feel are the best images. And so when they cut one, sometimes I like literally do make a gasp, and I tell them, no, you can't cut that one. And then they ask me why, and I will tell them my reasoning behind, you know, the lighting, the whatever, the feeling in the eyes and the expressions or whatever. But the bottom line is that it's all about what they like and not about what I like. So I had to let go of what I like. And you know, and it's the right choice for them. And as long as they're happy, then I'm happy. I mean, sometimes it hurts a little, and sometimes I just have to make a display out of the one that they didn't like, just so that I can have it. Or, you know, or I post it or whatever. You know, at times, I mean, I thought that it was going to break my heart when that happened, but it didn't. It's just part of the process. And so, yeah, I learned a lot that first year of doing my own sales about how to treat it when that happened.
Yeah, and that really was a big hurdle for her to jump over, was to accept the fact that she needed to meet the needs of the clients, and it wasn't necessarily about how amazing her work was. And so we came home and there was an awful lot of not com- oh shoot, what's the right word?
Disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment that I listened to a lot, and it took a little while for her to actually. It was easy to say that you understand that concept, but to actually believe that concept was hard for her to grasp. And we're in a much better place now than we were when she first started.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I think it benefits us to hear. We all deal with similar situations, of course, in this business, but we see it from a different perspective. We experience it differently. It affects us differently, and so I appreciate you sharing that inside information.
Yep.
I'm going to ask the same question, the original question, not my follow-up question, of Jason and Alejandra. I'll be right back. So, Jason and Alejandra, can you share with me a moment when your differing perspectives is what caused or led to a major breakthrough in your business?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind, but what Elizabeth and Trey shared, I really appreciate their transparency, because that helped me think of another one, which was when Alejandra and I first got together. Like she mentioned, I was already doing photography, and that's actually how I use photography to get her attention and win her over eventually. Photography, charm, and Jesus. Those are the three recipes, the ingredients for that to happen. And so I did a photo shoot of my lovely girlfriend at the time, and I picked the image, and I was doing my Photoshop thing. She don't need much. She's already fine the way she is, y'all. But I just polished it in Photoshop, and I was trying some new techniques. So it took my time with it, and I showed it to her, and the look on her face of like, it's okay. Like, thanks, babe. And she was doing that to be nice, but I knew that feeling I was looking for of like, oh, this is amazing. It came short. And so she's like, your work is amazing. The work that you did, the picture is, but I don't like the actual picture that you picked, that you selected. And so I learned right then and there that, because that was my time. Time is the most valuable commodity that we have as human beings. And so I took my time out to select this image and retouch it. But it doesn't mean anything if Alejandra doesn't love it. So I learned the lesson of moving forward. I stopped picking pictures for our clients. And so now we shoot tethered. And so our clients can provide live feedback, and they're in charge of what the images they select. Just because there might be an image that I think is amazing, and I will still selfishly use in our portfolio later, but that image, they still have control. They can pick an image that I may not have selected, but that image could very well be the image they use for their LinkedIn, or God forbid, their funeral. Like I want them to be so proud of that image. And if that means removing myself, thanks to my wife hurting my feelings, side note, it was a good lesson that I learned. That was definitely a breakthrough in our process for sure.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that. So it wasn't necessarily that I didn't love my husband's work. It's just at the end of the day, we all have our insecurities. Being in front of the camera is probably one of the most vulnerable things that somebody can do. And so when we're even consulting with our clients or even potential clients, our job is to educate them, and then also kind of, ask deeper questions to kind of get them out of their shell, to really assess, like, what is it that you hope to achieve from this image? Because a lot of times what happens is we'll take an image and we think it's amazing, and the one thing that they'll focus on is their insecurity. And so in that revelation that we got even during that experience was that I was focusing on my insecurity. So it didn't matter how beautiful my husband, polished the image. It was that I was focusing on my own insecurity. And so what we discovered with our clients is they're human too, and they have those same things. And so being that we're able to tether and shoot live and show them it's like we do all this planning, but sometimes, you know, while we're shooting, it doesn't translate the same. They're like, that's not, you know, that's not what I was hoping to achieve. And what's beautiful about that process is that we don't have to continue shooting that scene or whatever it is. We can move on to execute what they're really hoping to achieve. And sometimes what makes it so magical is we'll get the organic shots, the candid shots that we never even planned for, and then they're happy with those. And it might be because their expression really highlights them in the most beautiful light in the way that they see themselves. And so I think it is important to kind of collaborate with our clients, and that taught us that was the best way to do that.
And honoring their feelings, like the insecurity. So we try to create a safe environment for all our clients, so they can share us, like, hey, you know, my eyes get a little small when I smile, for example. That's the insecurity. I want to honor that feeling, and here's what we can do to resolve that. So
we coach them through it.
So it started off as something personal, but it had ripples.
It translated into our business for sure, in the way that we run our business and the experience that we provide our clients.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. You guys, as you're watching, do me a favor. When you hear something you like, make sure you're hitting that like button or hitting that love button or going over to the comment section and sharing a little bit about what you do. I mean, you experience these things as well. So feel free to share your stories or experiences with us as we go. So next question is for you guys. How do you handle a situation where you strongly disagree on a business decision? I'm making an assumption that you've ever disagreed on a business decision, but walk us through your process.
I can take this look. Okay. I laugh because so Jason always tells people he has to come and plead his case with me. So this is like business and personal.
The whole presentation and slideshow.
So I do the budgeting for both. Well, I guess we kind of do the tag team, the business, but for the majority of the part, like, I'm pretty much the one that kind of holds everything together when it comes to that. That's my strength, I would say. And so when Jason comes to me with a new idea, whether it's financial or not, but just any idea, a lot of times, you know, because we're together and he's my best friend, there's no filter, and it just kind of, I shoot it down. And so he'll say, you didn't even let me explain, right? And so there's situations like that, transparently, where I'll be like, okay, tell me exactly what you're hoping to achieve. And then I'm a little slow to process things.
So essentially what happens is you got to have whoever's pleading their case. I say that loosely, but like whoever is presenting, you gotta have the pros and cons of the decision, and from there, sometimes we need to be sober about it. And so we're both passionate. My wife is spicy. She's like, you know, okay. So sometimes we need to walk away and come back, and from there we're able to soberly look at the situation. And thankfully, we've been able to make, you know what, you're right, or you know what, maybe not this time, and we can agree to that. If we ever got to the situation where we couldn't agree, we would bring in an objective trusted third party, like just a mentor,
seek wise counsel.
Very much so.
We're a neutral, yeah, exactly.
Because we want to get it right.
And then we ask ourselves too: is this a need or a want? Yeah. Right. Like if it is, let's say it is an investment or something, you know, is it a need or a want? And if it's a need, is it a need right now, or can we hold off? Like, what is it? You know, that we're going to be using it for, what have you. And so I think it's just going back to what we had said earlier, communication is key, you know? And so for us, it's really understanding one another, seek to understand, and then pause. The power of the pause is really powerful for our relationship, because we'll say, okay, well, we'll have to just table it. Like if it gets robust, or we just get to a point where it's like, we're not going to, you know, come to a solution or a conclusion or an answer.
We'll table it with a date and time to come back to talk about it, which is really important, because you can table it and leave it on the table and never come back to it. So I think that's also something to make note. And so the one thing there's one situation. It was a lot of times, it's like, trying to think of a situation where that's happened. But in our personal relationship, we have like a 48-hour rule.
Oh yeah.
And so a 48-hour rule is like, if it wasn't worth bringing up within 48 hours, then we shouldn't bring it up. So an example of that is if I offended my wife and I hurt her feelings unbeknownst to me, and she brings it to my attention. And so that same rule is now starting to carry over into our business side. And so as far as like, hey, I had this decision. We need to make this decision. If we can't make within this time frame, then we need to resort to a different solution. So so far it's been good for us, but we're still Stevie Wonder through a lot of the aspects of this. Like we're growing as a business. We're in new territories, which is very exciting, and at the same time, it can be very scary. So I think we're always open to learn, especially when you have somebody like Jim or Trey and Elizabeth who are OGs in the game. So yeah.
Thanks for the shout out.
We need you guys. You've already paved the way, so we always,
We don't know everything.
we can learn from you guys.
Those are really fantastic. I mean, the way that you've got, they may be not written rules, but you have rules that you kind of you're guided by. You have an understanding of. And you are, you continue to move forward with those foundational considerations. So I'm real impressed. I like how you guys communicate with each other. I mean, you mentioned early on that communication is key. There's a specific use of communication that you're proving the statement that you made earlier. So yeah, definitely appreciate that. Thanks for that insight.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Same questions now going over to Elizabeth and Trey. Let's go to them. So you guys.
Just hold on. She's writing down the rule. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys. That was some good relationship advice.
Well,
So what do you guys think? How do you handle the situations when you disagree on business decisions?
it's pretty simple. Her name is on the front of the building. My name is not. And so
That's what he always says.
she's the boss. And so we will hash things out again and again and again and again, and probably even some more. But ultimately, she's my boss, and she wins. She's wrong, and but we still we still do what she says, unless I've been able to convince her that she's wrong.
That is not true.
Oh,
Okay, so that's what he thinks. He thinks that my name's on the business, so I'm the boss. But I feel like we are a team. A team that sometimes I don't listen to my partner because sometimes I think he's wrong. But in all honesty, I am the dreamer. I'm the artist, and I am working with the client on a daily basis. He is behind the scenes. He sees a good overview of this business and the financial situation, and he has a good way of seeing the weakness or the drawback or the problem that when I come up with an idea or we have a disagreement about the way we move forward with something. And so I do take that into consideration, and often I listen. Well, I always listen, but I don't always, it doesn't always go his way. It doesn't always go my way. And it's not my way or his way in all actuality. It's whatever is best for us as a couple and us as a business. And sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we make the wrong decisions. And I hate it when he tells me he told me so. But sometimes he's right. And
only sometimes.
Yep. And sometimes I'm right. And I think that we're kind of fairly even on that.
Do we need to talk about Christmas cards?
No.
Okay.
let's not bring that
All
up. So yeah, we're not as eloquent as the Bryants.
We have rules.
It's so funny.
48-hour rule.
No, but that is really good, and it's interesting how you have these different perspectives, but you've you still have the main end results, the destination that you're heading towards. You just have the different perspectives, but you're heading towards the same destination, so therefore it appears at least to work.
Well, I mean, Waze always gives you like 3 options of how to get there. So, you know, we may be going a little bit of a different, different route, but the goal is we both have the same goal in mind. So, how to get there.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. All right, you guys, if you're hearing stuff that you like, make sure you're clicking that like button and clicking that love button. If you're hearing something today that's speaking to you, tell us about it or share your own stories in the comments. All right, let's see. What's the biggest personal sacrifice that you have made for the business, and how did you work through that together?
I think it was early on.
Well, Robert No has the key right there. Yes, dear. I have been saying that to Elizabeth since the day I met her.
It's true.
But that's not really the sacrifice. I mean, I have a bachelor's degree in music education and a master's degree in music performance, and spent a buttload of money on a college education that I'm not using anymore, because I decided to put that aside and work for her, with her, for the benefit of our family. And so, you know, to have a life ambition and then just kind of stop is kind of a big thing. And so, I mean, that's been my sacrifice. Elizabeth's, I think she probably sacrificed a lot of her social life, because when I first met her, she was working 7 days a week, 16, 17 hours a day. So, I mean, she gave up that for the business. We've since readjusted and now spend a lot of time at the wine bar, but we've changed that aspect of it. But I mean, it was a sacrifice for me to do that, but it's what that's why we got married, because I loved her, and because we wanted to have a family. And so doing that, it's not really a sacrifice, it's just a decision.
Yeah. I haven't really sacrificed anything other than my time. I mean, in some ways, our roles are a little reversed. He is Mr. Mom, and I am the one that's making our money, doing portrait sessions and selling them. And so, the sacrifice was that, I gave birth, and 1 month later, 3 to 4 weeks later, I'm photographing families and weddings. And so I was never a stay-at-home mom. I never, I never got to be room mom or anything like that. But he did all of that, which I don't think was a sacrifice for him. I think he loved it. If I'm wrong, you can tell me. But I think he loved doing that, and it's worked very well for our personalities. For me to be the one that's working more, and him be the one who, when a child is sick, he comes home. And when we have our son with special needs, when a caregiver can't work or he has to be sent home from his day have, that he's the one who comes home with him, because I'm the one who's meeting with clients all the time. So, I mean, there's a lot of little sacrifices, but in the end result is that our lives are pretty great. we love to travel. And we have great friends, and we get to do what we want to do. We live in a wonderful house. We have 2 great dogs and 3 great boys, and yeah, I mean, I don't think we could ask for more.
Love it. Ah, man. Everybody, you guys, both you and Jason and Alejandro, you guys have just the best answers. They're insightful. I think we can all relate to what it is that you're saying in our own lives. So, man, thank you for sharing these things. Really appreciate it. I'm going to ask that same question now of Jason and Alejandra. So, Jason and Alejandra, what's been the biggest personal sacrifice you've made for the business, and how did you work that out as a couple?
Good question. I think, yeah, Trey and Elizabeth, you guys, that y'all inspire us. That's like super awesome. Your transparency and sharing that, because it just sparks. It's nice knowing that we're not alone from that standpoint. So as far as sacrifice, I would say Alejandro. So Alejandro, is when it comes to shoot day, that's her jam. And we have some really cool shoots that we've been a part of, that we've been blessed to be a part of. And last minute, little kiddo that you saw, like Batman, he will get sick the day of the shoot. And you know, if we can't have grandma watch him, then Alejandra is gracious enough to sacrifice, even though she wants to be put in the game, for better lack of words. She sacrifices and she doesn't go to the shoot so she can be mom first, because family is first. And I appreciate her doing that. And so that's what I can see that sacrifice me. We'll come back from the shoot. She'll see the pictures and she's very supportive, but in her eyes, she's like secretly like angry fist from that standpoint. So
I do get sad when I don't get to be part of the shoots, but I know that with our team and Jason, the client's going to be served in a very excellent way. And I would say for Jason, the thing that he sacrifices, so I don't do any of the retouching. That's all Jason. And so I would say that, as you know, fellow photographers, that could be a long time behind the camera for, you know, after the shoot. It's not just, you know, people may not understand how long that takes after the post-production part of it. And I would say Jason probably carries most of that. And so I would say that'd be time away from our kids, about family time, you know, away from family time, or just missing opportunities like that. And so I'd say that that's probably where he sacrifices the most. Late nights, after hours, you know, we sacrificing our time together. And so I think that's just a daily grind, and you know, what comes with being business owners. You wear a lot of hats and you just have to get the work done, because if you don't get it done, nobody else will. So I think there is sacrifice on both ends. And so we just try to manage them as much as possible as we can. But like I said earlier, we feel blessed to have each other to tag team those things, because when you're doing it all by yourself, I can't imagine. And I know it's a lot.
And also we have a habit now in our mature years, 10 years, we now like to kind of like, if she'll randomly tell me, hey, I appreciate you. Like, I appreciate you doing X, Y, Z, and vice versa. Babe, I appreciate you not going, like, holding down our home while I'm at the shoot. And so it's little things like that, just those words of affirmation also just lets me know, like, hey, that sacrifice wasn't in vain. Like, my family, who was the most important people to me, they appreciate that. My kids, they may not know how to say it just yet. I'm probably going to wait another 30 years to hear thank you. But it's nice to get it from my wife and her.
That is a good one. There are a lot of things that couples will do for each other, and it may not be because they want to. It's because they see that it's just the right thing to do. And when the other one is acknowledging that and showing appreciation for it, that benefits both parties. And so I'm grateful that you guys see that and do that.
Yeah, it's tough. it gets hard, you know, when you're in the trenches of things in life, and, you know, when just unforeseen things happen outside, right? So you're just trying to manage it as best as you can. And so I think it is important to, Elizabeth had mentioned, you know, being a team. And I think that's key right there, is making sure that you're constantly saying, hey, you know, you're my teammate. I couldn't do this without you, and I don't want to do it with anybody else, because it gets pretty tough. And so it's kind of, we always say, like, our backs are against, right? Like we're you know, preparing for battle, but not against each other, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
You've got enough stuff to deal with. If you're fighting against each other, you're going to fail.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We like to think of ourselves as ducks. Like, we're super calm.
Yeah.
When
Ducks on water.
Man, it is happening.
Yeah.
So
Might be a little fake it till you make it, right? You have to
have
sometimes.
that support system is beautiful.
Mhm. Exactly.
Love that. Well,
Yeah.
I've got a question about the personal side. How
Mhm.
has running a business together affected the way you communicate outside of business when you're just living your normal lives, not business related, stuff outside of business? How has that affected that communication?
For me, it's improved it. My communication skills as in my late 20s wasn't great. She can probably attest to that. And now I would like to think that it's improved quite a bit. So I think is one of those things that we establish, like a rule or some boundaries for each other. It carries on the personal side, it carries on the professional side, but it becomes muscle memory at some point, because we spend a lot of time with each other. And I think that it's helped us to create a healthy environment for each other. For, like, I want to make sure that she thrives, and vice versa. She wants to make sure I thrive. And here's the recipes. Here's my optimal working conditions are here, and vice versa. So I want to set her up for success. And so if that means I use a gentle tone, or make sure in the middle of the day, you know, I kiss her on the forehead, or show her some love. Like, hey, I didn't want anything. I just want to make sure you still got it, girl. All right. Don't forget that. I personally have like she's literally my best friend. So I think the communication has improved just because we spend so much time together. It's either that, or it can be quite the opposite, where if we weren't intentional, it could lead to failure, and that's not an option. So it's us. I think as I have done self work on myself, and my wife has done the same, as we work on each other, as we work individually on ourselves, that has also benefited for us to work together as a team.
Yeah, I think it's important to also communicate, you know, just communication. I can't even strive it enough, because, you know, when I'm having a bad day, you know, naturally, you know, because we're like the closest, I mean, he's the most intimate person, right? Like, he knows me better than anybody else knows me. And even if I, you know, don't say it, it's the nonverbal communication too. And so kind of checking in, because sometimes, you know, we don't intentionally do this, but it's like, you know, we can't be like each other's punching bag, right? Like, I'm not a doormat. Like, if you're having a bad day and you don't communicate, I don't know that, but I'm going to take it personally, because you're my most, you know, the closest relationship to me. So we try really hard to, in the moment, kind of check ourselves, like, hey, like, I didn't get enough sleep last night, and if I'm off, it's nothing that you did. I'm just having an off day, and I don't mean it intentionally. And then if I say that, maybe he comes later and says, hey, you know, can I do something for you? Or what do you need from me? And I think it's a constant check-in, because it gets overwhelming, you know, especially when you have kiddos and you have life things. And so I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you're being supportive to each other. And if you can't, then at least communicating that, so that the other person knows, okay, this is, I won't, I'll leave you alone. I'll give you some space, or what have you.
It could be as simple as, hey, I'm not having a good day.
Yeah.
That alone. I know how to gauge my wife based off her eyebrows. If her eyebrows get too sassy,
I'm telling you, that nonverbal communication.
I'll ask later. Whatever I had to ask right now is done. Okay, I'll tell you that much. So.
Yeah.
The look. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. No, the infamous look.
Yeah.
It's the things that you don't have to say, right? Because you've been with each other for so long.
The kids know the look too. I've taken them a few times. Just like, baby, just not today. Just,
That's funny. Robert has a question for you guys. It's not related to this question, but I figure you could answer it pretty quickly, so I might as well just ask it. He said, do you guys tag team portrait sessions, or does one do one thing and one another?
Yeah, we can do both.
yeah, traditionally we tag team. I think that's what people have learned to expect with us as far as meet the brands. They want to interact with both of us. But there are some shoots where we shoot solo. But there's always some type of touch point from either of us. But yeah, it just depends on the shoot. And like sometimes her jam is like if it's working with empowering a woman, or like headshots, or a CEO, for example, that's her jam. I'm letting her. Sometimes I get out the way. I'm like, why am I here? Like, I'm just
because we also have two different ways of shooting. So I like to say I shoot from my heart. So I literally shoot what feels right. Like if I don't know. The way that I shoot, and Jason's more technical, and so he'll focus on the lighting and all the things, and so I think what we've learned in our business of working together and both simultaneously shooting is that we give perspective. We get a different perspective. It could be shooting the same scene, if you will, but we get different perspectives, and it gives our clients more of a variety.
It's like a professional paparazzi experience. But then also we become competitive behind the scenes. I'm like, yo, this client, they're probably gonna pick more of my images than yours, and vice versa. And then a lot of times she kicks my butt, which is cool.
Fun.
So,
but
really fun.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is. Thank you for asking that question, Robert, and thank you for answering it. And the one that I asked too, because that was some good behind the scenes stuff that you shared. I appreciate that. So let's ask that same question now of Elizabeth and Trey, bringing them back. You never know what they're going to be doing when you come back to them. Look at that face.
This is my nonverbal communication.
That means go get the duck. I don't get it. So how has your business side of the communication that you have learned in order to be a good partnership in business, how has it affected your personal life?
Well, in our business, we have lanes that we stay in. I am the photographer, also to answer Robert's question. I am the artist. I have the camera. I create the images. Trey does all the other stuff behind the scenes, the retouching, the album design, the framing, and the finances. And when you go home, we also have lanes. I work from home basically and stay up late doing editing, preparing images. And he cooks and does the laundry. And although I feel like sometimes I do help him on that, not that often, but sometimes we just don't step on each other's toes. He knows what his job is, and I know what my job is, and we just don't. I mean, we can help each other out, but we don't really step on each other's toes. At least I don't try to. And that's his nonverbal communication right there.
I wondered what that was. But I get it, at least surface level.
No. Staying in your lane. That's the key.
Yeah.
You know, I don't tell her how to fold a towel because
you have.
Well, okay. That's a side note. All right. The other day, I made a comment about how she mopped the floor, and so she said that's the last time she's ever mopping the floor. So, yeah.
So we learn from different stimulus and change our behavior as a result. Okay, I hear you.
The mop was
love it.
wet. I'm sorry.
It's not my strength. It's not my strength.
Well, I've got another question for you guys. Let's bring that one up on the screen. What's a skill? You know what? Is that the one? I'm going to have to skip one, so I want to know if that's the one I want to skip.
That's
I'm
not the
going to
one
read
you
it
want
real
to
quick.
Well, you may want to, because I'm going to make your face turn red.
Oh, no.
Good.
Don't skip this one, Jim. Don't skip this one.
All right. So, what was that one? A skill or strength? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's a skill or strength in your partner that you've come to appreciate more since going into business together?
I'm going to go. He has a lot of strengths. And I already mentioned one, in that he kind of has a good overview of like the studio as a big picture, and being able to, see where there's holes, or see where things need to be fixed or adapted. But the strength that I have appreciated so much is that he is an amazing cook. And every night I come home from a hard day's work and he has made dinner for our family. And it's always wonderful because he doesn't screw it up. Like, I make rice that's crunchy and he doesn't. So therefore he is the chef in the family, because mine is not great. And I know that's not my strength, and that is his strength. Also, his strength is that he likes to be behind the scenes. He doesn't want the glory. He wants to help in the background, and he wants to make it successful, but he doesn't want people to really know that he's been helping. He just does it because that's just who he is. Like, he is the child whisperer when it comes to us photographing. I'm photographing, he is making the children laugh, he is giving the expressions, and that is a strength. I mean, all of those things together just make him. I just can't do this business without him. I just couldn't do it. So, so yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it probably more than I ever tell him. You don't have to tell me my strengths, Trey. That's okay.
Aww. Did you need to respond to that, or are you just taking it all in?
I think she's
Trey?
been very sweet. She's been very sweet. Thank you.
I love it. You guys are awesome. All right, so let's ask that same question now of Jason and Alejandra. Come back, bring them back on. So, tell me, you guys, what's a skill or a strength in your partner that you've come to appreciate more since being in business together?
There are so many, but I will say that there's two that come to mind. One being is her attention to details is crazy. If I'm doing like edits, or if we're looking at video, and she'll watch it one time. I've seen this thing like 3 or 4 times, and she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this and this they don't match." I'm like, "Yo!" Or if I do a retouch, I got everything just perfect, but because of fatigue, something may be off. So I always go to her. She's a trusted source to keep it funky with me. She's gonna be honest and be like, "Yeah, his skin has a little hint of magenta in there." And I'm like, it used to perturb me. I'm like, "Look, I'm sitting here sitting down making changes. I think I'm about to be done." And you're like, "Not yet." Now I appreciate it, because at the end of the day, I don't want that product to go out. I know that perfection is a unicorn, but I want to get as close to it as possible. And then just her, she's straightforward. A lot of times I can add fluff. And so she's like, "Yeah, that's cool, but this is what I'm really trying to say." And so I admire that. And now I've found a balance to, like, fluff is necessary sometimes. It's nice, but not too much. So I've learned from her to be able to just be a little bit more direct. And it's nice from that standpoint. So I really appreciate everything that she does, from a business partner, but also more importantly as a mom and wife. Couldn't do anything without her. Yes.
Thanks, babe. For me, Jason is, so I'm naturally I'm more shy and I'm more private. And so that's just who I am, I think, as a person. And I think one of the biggest things when Jason was like, are you sure you want to go, you want to be part of this? I'm like, I don't know, because Jason, you can put Jason in any room and he will spark a conversation and immediately build a connection with somebody or have some form of relatability. I mean, he's just so good at speaking with people, where I'm kind of like in the background and I'm like, it's slow to warm up and I just kind of like spectate and assess the situation. Yes, I am a little awkward turtle. And so I think what I love about my husband is that he genuinely loves to meet people. He genuinely wants to get to know you. And I love that because, like I said, when we're speaking to our clients, it's not just, for us, it's not transactional. For us, it's all about the relationship. And to be able to just, establish relationships, you have to be able to speak to people and feel comfortable. And so I think for our relationship in business and in personal, I think that's definitely one of his biggest strengths. The other one is he has a marketing background. And so I think from a business perspective, I think he brings a lot of value. He's the one who creates our website that I think is so amazing. So when people compliment, our website, it brings me so much joy because I know that he kind of nerds out over those things. I know how many hours he spends on those things. He's very meticulous. And so, just his heart for doing things in excellence, I think is really great too. Obviously perfect is, a unicorn, but, I think we balance each other out in that way.
Yeah. Insert warm fuzzy feeling right now.
No kidding. Yeah, I definitely can appreciate how you guys are complimenting each other, because that lifts each other up. I'm sure you have to criticize every once in a while. There's some things you have to point out. You can't get past that. But it sounds like you're balancing it out with, acknowledging those positive aspects, those positive behaviors that the other is doing. So more power to you. You guys rock.
And I love the cooking. I love that Elizabeth gave Trey kudos for the cooking.
Hold it down over there, man.
That's Jason's strength, and there's nothing better than to have a nice home cooked meal that's delicious.
Hey, nothing wrong with crunchy rice, okay? Like, don't let anybody shame you for that.
No, okay? Elizabeth.
Still edible. Still edible. It's all
you
good.
and me are on the same page, sister.
Oh, man.
Relate.
Well, we're coming to the end of the time, so I want to give you guys an opportunity for some closing thoughts. So what advice might you share with someone who is maybe considering going into a business with a partner? What thoughts or considerations for maintaining that positive and growth-oriented mindset that you guys have?
I mean, working with your partner is a gift. So I say treat it as such. And I personally do that. What's helped us quite a bit is self-care. So making sure that I have my me time, she has her me time, and find out what really fills that tank. So for example, filling up my tank is music. As you see all these records, I love collecting vinyl, or I love plants, different things like that. Really bring me joy. So as long as I'm on my self-care and filling up my tank, I can't help my family if I'm on E. So to make sure my tank is full, so then I can later bring value to my partner and my family. And that's helped our relationship become even stronger, with us both taking that aspect, and also setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Boundaries are really good. I also would say that being transparent, right? Because going into business with somebody that we're realizing that it's really a gift, right? People can't do that. And that's okay. That's okay if you say, hey, like, I feel like awareness is key. Yeah. Having really transparent conversations on what it looks like. I love what Elizabeth had said, like they kind of establish what their lanes are professionally and personally. And I think that's really big because, where you can highlight what your strengths are, what are the needs of the business, what are the strategies that you're trying to achieve together, the biggest thing, like we've this whole time, I think communication, but it's really knowing what those are. And then when you define them, I think it helps you run together alongside each other a little bit smoother than tripping over each other. So I think that's really big to define what those are early on, and then really try to assess if it's a good fit or not. And if it's not a good fit, then knowing early so that it doesn't jeopardize the personal relationship, because going into business is a big deal, but I think that's big for personal and professional.
Yeah, it's okay to do a trial run and assess. It may not work.
In theory, sometimes it sounds like a good idea, but then in real life, it's like, you know what, maybe not, and then just cutting that part of your relationship, and saying, maybe we'll outsource these things or whatever. Not forcing it.
Just looking for whatever solution takes you down the road that you want to go on. That makes sense. Yep. Thank you for that. And Jason, you said something, and you both agreed to it. So working with your partner is a gift, so treat it as such. I wrote it down because I believe that too.
Yeah.
Every now and then I have a little wisdom here and there. Jim, I can't promise you it happens often.
Don't put that key in his bag, Jim.
You know, baby, Jim. Let's be recorded, Rob. Go ahead and download this. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to bring Elizabeth and Trey on, and then I'm going to bring all of you guys back on here in just a moment. So be back in just a second. So Elizabeth and Trey, we're bringing this part of the show to an end. So I want to hear your closing thoughts. What advice you might offer someone else who is either in business or thinking about being in business with their partner?
Well, I think Alejandro and Jason said it already about staying in your lane, and I mean, not criticizing, but there's constructive criticism, and to not take it personally when there is constructive criticism, because the goal is that you guys are you're working to the same goal, and sometimes we have a hard time seeing if we're doing something wrong, and so or that it could be done better, not necessarily wrong, because there's lots of ways to do things, but to be constructively communicating with each other about those things, and not taking it personal when one person needs to share that with you. We are lucky. We are very lucky. We have been able to raise our children from birth to out of the house, living a life of running our own business, being able to take a vacation if we want to take a vacation, being able to come home early if some kid is sick, being able to make our own hours and to do something that we love every single day, and do it with the person that we love is, just like Jason said, it is a gift. Sometimes it's a white elephant gift. I'm kidding, but not really. Sometimes, you need separation, and it's good to have friends that you can, have your own thing that you can do, your own hobbies, or your own night out. Guys trip. Trey takes a guys trip, and I take a girls trip, and those are things that are important as well. Just time away, and to really appreciate, what we have, because it's rare that you have a couple that's been married for 25 years and worked in the same business and every day in and day out, and it still loves each other and still likes to be together and have fun together, is very rare. But it takes a little give and take, and sometimes it takes some time apart to just breathe and be mad at each other for a minute and then move on. And I think
it's the 48-hour
48-hour rule. Exactly. Thank you guys for that. But yeah, do you have anything to add, Trey?
Yeah, space is important. You're not being selfish when you ask for it. You're not being selfish when you give it. I mean, that's a natural need. I mean, guys need to hang out with guys, and girls need to hang out with girls. But you need to pick people that are uplifting and support your values. And so that's been key for both of us. We both come back encouraged. And also, don't be afraid to leave work at work. You don't have to bring it home. Even if you work out of your home, you can lock it in the office and be present with your family. And if you absolutely have to do that. If all you do is work, then it's not healthy, and it's not sustainable to do that. And I think my last thought would be, have sex at work.
God. I knew he was going to say that.
Thank you for that.
I mean, Jim, are you going to argue with me?
No.
And sorry, Robert, that you're single.
Robin's watching in the other room, and she just came. I could hear her laughing back there.
I asked him, that was the only thing I asked him not to say.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Thanks
I didn't hear that.
Thanks for keeping it interesting. But those are great tips, great pieces of advice. I mean, clearly they're coming from the heart. They're coming from emotions. You're using those as tools to help you reach whatever goals that you have. And so and thank you for sharing those with us. I'm going to bring Jason and Alejandra back on because you guys are awesome. All four of you, both are wonderful couples. I thoroughly believe I chose well for this show.
I don't know, you might be regretting this.
There aren't any censors that are checking. There aren't any fact checkers that are proving what you say is actually true. I'm just assuming that it sounds like you believe what you're saying, so I just believe you. But thank you guys so much. I know you've got other things going on. I appreciate seeing Jason and Alejandra's kids. They're so cute. I saw one of the dogs over there next to Trey at some point. So I'm getting to see a little bit more of the families. My dog came and said hi just a few moments ago, but he's a little bit camera shy. He usually won't jump up on me when I'm on camera, which is probably a good thing. I've got a big husky. But you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your time, sharing your stories with us, because your stories are going to benefit others, and you are uplifting the photographer community. So thank you guys for doing those things.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, you guys are awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. I'm going to take you guys off and then tell everybody who's watching what upcoming shows are coming up and about the annual San Antonio Photography Tournament that is happening on Sunday, just this coming Sunday. So thank you guys once again, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon.
Thanks, Jim, for what you do for San Antonio Photography. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate you guys over there at Digital Pro Labs, and come check us out at Professional Photographers of San Antonio on Wednesday when we have our senior summit.
No.
Oh,
Yep.
No.
No.
Children fine art
photography.
PPSA is something we often recommend on this show. So yeah, thank you for that shout out. All right. Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. All right. Aren't they wonderful, you guys? Just amazing. We have the best panelists. Now, almost all of our panelists come from the San Antonio area, and I know not everybody watching is from the San Antonio area, but man, do we have some wonderful people. And if you agree with me, will you tell me in the comments, say something nice to them, say, thank you for your time, or I appreciated this story. Maybe share a little bit of a story that you have, something that you can add to the conversation. But it is wonderful people like Jason and Alejandra and Elizabeth and Trey, who are uplifting the photography community. And we want to encourage them to continue to do that with their comments. Now, what's coming up 1 week, well, less than a week from yesterday, is the instant gratification fun photography competition. It's this coming Sunday, and I'll put this up on the screen. Actually, I'm going to change how that looks. There we go. This is, and let me put up the web address too, so you can get tickets. There we go. And this is for fun. This is a diversion. This is not to find out who the best photographer is in the area. In fact, this is open up to all skills, all levels, almost all ages. You have to be between 5 and 105. All right. So, but there's the thing that makes this even is there's no post-production allowed. There's not even any time for it, because you come in at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, you get the list of 15 different categories that you can compete in. And then you go out for the next 3 hours or so and you photograph at the beautiful Stinson Airport, the historic airport, first airport in Texas, I believe. And at least it's the longest continuous running. They're going to open up one of the hangars for us, just for us, so that we can see a bunch of old planes. Plus, they have a nature trail that'll take you all the way back to the San Antonio River. So lots of fantastic things to do and see there. We do have prizes. When you're going to be creating your images there. You're going to be uploading them. So you're going to bring not only your digital camera, but also something that causes you to be able to get online. So a laptop, a tablet, your cell phone, something that connects your phone to your camera to the internet, so that you can upload your photographs. We're going to have judges there who are going to judge on site so that you know who the winners are before you leave. This isn't some popularity contest to see how many friends you have on Facebook or Instagram. Nope. This all happens in one time, one place. Prizes are going to be awarded to the winners in each category before this show, or before this event ends. So again, Sunday, October 20th, 8 a.m. is when it starts at Stinson Airport. The tickets are $39. So go to the website address that you see there on the screen, square.link/u/capital I 7, capital F, capital L, capital H, lowercase g, capital P, capital O. And that's where you can get your tickets for this event. So I hope to see you guys there. Take that one off, because now I want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up next for the Portrait Profits show. As you know, you get the Portrait Profits show every single Monday. It's the second Monday that we move it to 6:30 in the evening because, well, I found that it's easier to get panelists to show up in the evening than it is during the middle of the day. So that's why we moved the time. But our regular show time is at noon every single Monday. And this is today's show is number 189. So we've done quite a few shows. But we do this every single Monday. We almost never skip. In the 4 years we've been doing this, we've skipped 3. One was for Snowmageddon. One was for the day that Facebook went down. It was just one day for like 4 hours, but it was during our show. And last year it fell on Christmas Day. So yeah, we've skipped only a few. Those we have extreme reasons why we would do that. Every single Monday at noon. And the next one coming up is October 21st at noon, Good versus Right, your key to success. So are you making decisions that are good or decisions that are right? Because the difference is huge. I mean, would you go to Home Depot and just get good tools? Or would you go there and get the ones that were right for whatever repair you're doing or whatever build you're doing? No, you're just going there to get the right things. You're not picking up everything that looks good. Yet photographers do this every day. It's like if you were driving from here to Houston to go visit a friend for lunch, but you saw a cool car, so you exited too because it exited. That doesn't help you reach your goal. It may be a good thing to do. Maybe you think it's the right thing, but it isn't the right thing. It doesn't help you reach your goal. So I'm going to help you understand the difference, because the difference could be the key to unlocking your success in portrait photography. So, in a world full of opinions and advice, it is easy to get caught up in what seems like a good choice until you know exactly what it is you want in life. How do you know what's truly right for you? So, join me as we explore how defining where you are headed can simplify decision making and set you on the path for achieving what's right for you. So, that is in 1 week from today, October 21st at noon. And then on October 28th, we have Tame the Wedding Photography Beast. Wedding photographers, are you feeling overwhelmed by the chaos? Discover tips and build systems that bring a calm that you've never experienced in Taming the Wedding Photography Beast, because you're going to get tips to keep calm and capture on. Master the tools to manage pressure while delivering amazing products and services. Your next wedding is about to get a whole lot smoother. And then the week after that is November 4th, exposing and solving pre-wedding blunders. Exposing and solving pre-wedding blunders. This is going to be fun. And then the next panel we have on November 11th at 6:30, that is on reinventing your photography business. Reinventing your photography business. I hope you have enjoyed this show today. I know that I have enjoyed it. We've had such wonderful panelists sharing their thoughts and their opinions, their stories. It's good stuff. As we bring today's discussion to a close, I want to once again express my sincere gratitude to our panelists for sharing their invaluable wisdom and experiences. Their journeys have illuminated new paths for our success. Lens Legends, that's you guys. Allow their stories to be a reminder that you are creating legacies for both your clients and for yourself. Photographers aren't just members of some profession. We leave a mark on the world through our stories and the memories that we immortalize. We're the guardians of moments, the crafters of heirlooms, the architects of history. And as we move forward armed with the insights and inspirations from our wonderful panelists, let's challenge ourselves to push the boundaries of creativity and professionalism. Let's commit to not only enhancing our skills, but to nurturing the bonds that make our photography community a source of strength and innovation and collective achievement. Thank you once again to our panelists for their generous contributions of thought, advice, and time. And I want to thank you, Lens Legends, for your time and attention today, and for the efforts you put into being an exceptional portrait photographer. I encourage you to like and to share the Portrait Profit Show. Maybe share one takeaway that you got from the show and say thank you to the panelists. They appreciate it, and I appreciate seeing it. Be sure to join me next week for our live stream Monday at noon. Together, Lens Legends, we support each other in achieving our goals and making a difference in the world through our passion for portrait photography. So for Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, my name is Jim Landers, and I'm bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show. So until next time, Lens Legends, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep making your mark in the world. I look forward to watching you grow. Bye for now. You guys rock. I appreciate you.